pandemic. So we're really happy that you're here. Thank you so much. And then I will pass it on to you. I'll stop sharing so you can share your screen.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, my name is Miles Goodlow. I'm incredibly happy to be back here. So before I share my screen, I'll just give a little tidbit. And then I'll give you all the financial knowledge that I have for today's session. I'm really excited. I did this last year. Last year was amazing. You all are really engaging. What I love about CDU is that it's like such a concentration of just great intellectuals. It allows me to understand that you all are really on path to really be great leaders because of the fact that you're willing to sign up for a profession that is directly about saving lives. And I just think in the middle of a quarantine, there's just no one that's more important than you in the future positions and professions that you're going to hold. So thank you, Charles Drew, for training these beautiful and bright people. And then for those of you who are students and fully engaged, you're on the right path. You made the right decision. No matter how tough this is, it's tough because you're tougher, right? So big advocate of, you're not going to be put through anything that you can't handle type of mindset. All right, now I'm going to share my screen. And if you have any questions, feel free to just kind of jump in. You can interrupt me once I finish the sentence and say, hey, I have a question. If you rather chat in, you can do that as well. I'm going to ask for a lot of interaction via the chat. So if you don't have your chat open now, just go ahead and open it up. It'll be real easy interaction, simple like put a 1 or a 2 in the chat, put an A or a B in the chat, or put your answer in the chat. But I'm also up for full discussions. I love to talk, if you can't figure that out by now. So I'm unafraid to talk with you. All right, so this is Financial Basics Part 2. It says Part 2 because there's an overall part that does Part 1, but the overall Part 1, I'm going to break down into 3 sessions. So you'll see that as Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. I can send you all these slides. If you want these slides, I will put my email up here, which is right here. So Motivation Requires Growth. It's a company that I just started to make this a little bit more official. But you can email me at Motivation Requires Growth. You can also follow me at Motivation Requires Growth on Instagram and on YouTube. So my overall goal as a professional to make sure that people basically understand what they need to do in order to be able to take full advantage of their financial health and how that can actually impact and empower you mentally. So I think that if you can get your finances right, you can take that money and invest it back into yourself. So I think that financial wellness is absolutely critical for us to get to things that are more important, like your mental, physical, emotional health. There's a lot of things that we want to be able to afford in life, right? I have a friend of mine, I just paid for his first therapy session because he couldn't afford therapy and quarantine is starting to get to him. But if I did not take care of my financial wellness, I would have said, man, that's just tough. Right. So I'm addicted to helping others, and financial wellness is a requirement for me in order to help others. So I would encourage you while you're going through this, if you could think outside of yourself, that's going to be a huge motivational factor for you to be able to really empower yourself. That's how I'm wired. Is to help others and do what I need to do to better myself to help others. And your finances are absolutely critical. So for you to be the best medical professional you need to be, you do not need to be worrying about your money. Quick story short, because you're dedicating your entire career to helping others. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is cash flow. I know when we talk about money, everybody says budget is the first thing they want to talk about. But what are you budgeting? You're budgeting the money that you actually have. So what money do you have? And here's what I would say. I want to do what is called my cash flow poll. So if you have your cell phone, which I'm sure you do, I want you to pull it out and text to the number 22333. So 22333 is the number that you're going to text. Now, what are you texting? You are going to text Miles Goodlow 385. No capital, so it's right here. So if you can do that for me, that would be great. And so we should be able to see here what your responses are going to be. Once you have received that confirmation text coming in, do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat. So that way I know that you've sent the text and you've received it.
I don't have any.
All right, we got 1. So you're texting, you're going to text the number 22333. Got it. Okay. Okay. Then we have 8 people total on here. So let me get at least 4 people to say that they've got it. Let's go for half. I get 2 more. Put a 1 in the chat if you signed up. All right, we got 3. Can we get 1 more? All right, we have Silva, Hassan, Josephine. Right, text 22333. I just need you to text Miles Goodlow 385. Put that in the chat. Just in case you still need that. All right, all right. We got 4. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Cash flow strong. How can you earn cash flow? How can you earn income? In one word, respond back how you can earn income. If you have 5 different things, then you got to text that 5 different times. So one way you can earn income, you know, is selling socks, right? You can sell pens. You can sell air. You can sell water. Right, job, working. But what do you do for work? Let's get specific. Like, what is working? There we go. What else? All right, for about 10 more seconds. Keep everything that just comes to your mind. How can you make money? What are all the different ways that you can make money? And get specific. Online, what can you sell online? Are you talking about Amazon? Are you talking about creating your own business online? What does this look like? All right, online is huge. I agree. All right, so online is going to be huge. You can keep texting in your answers. I'm just going to start talking now. I just know we have a time crunch. We have 45 minutes left, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time and be respectful. We're in quarantine. I'm at home. You're at home, right? My entire life is now my laptop and my cell phone. So if you can find ways to make money online, that is going to be the best way to do that. Now, when we're talking about businesses online, I think what's great about having businesses online is that you don't have to go anywhere. And if you organize that the right way, you won't even have to have inventory, right? My sister has a candle company. So she sells candles online. It's absolutely amazing. So I love it. And I love that she does that because it really allows her to be able to make more money on the side. So you all brought up some really good points. I saw investments, passive income, real estate, right? I would say working is what I call active income. Do you all know the difference between active and passive income? So you can respond in the chat if you like. Let me see. Right. Do you know the difference between active and passive income? Okay. Active money equals making money now. A little bit. Yeah. I would say that active income is income that you have to work for. It's active. It requires actions on your part consistently, right? Passive, money that accumulates without you working for it. Right. Passive income. You said it right. So Miss Smith, you're right on it. Right when you set that up. I'm sorry, were you want to say something? Was that Norma? You can go ahead. What were you gonna say? Okay, I'll keep going. So if it comes back to you, Norma, just let me know. And active income is money that you work for. That's going to the job, clocking in for hours, putting in work. You have to move. You have to do something for it. Passive income, once you set it up, it'll pay you continuously. So for active income during the day, I am a software salesman. I work in the tech industry and I sell software to different companies that help them to be able to maximize their profit margins and reduce their labor costs. So I am actively on the phones, on LinkedIn, calling companies, doing presentations, having demonstrations, connecting with people, actively working each and every day to be able to generate that income. My day job, if you will, requires action, so it is my active income. For passive income, I've self-published 3 books in the last 4 years. So each one of those books took a lot of activity for me to write in the first place. But then once I put it up on Amazon, it now lives on Amazon and I get paid every month from the consistent purchases for those books. And so I don't have to rewrite those books in order for me to be able to collect income. So I now have 2 streams of income from my active, and then I have one that is passive. Any questions on that? You can speak up or drop the questions in the chat.
4A.
Does someone say something? All right, so here are some other ways that you can create more income. And I'm thinking about this if you're a student, you're online, it's quarantine, you have to be smart about this. So yes, you may have an active job, and that is really good. That is the start. Increasing your income is the most important thing you can do. Your income is your greatest wealth generation tool because it is the money coming in. It's the money coming in consistently, and it's the money that you want to be able to use. That's the money that you need to be able to manage, and that puts you in the best place to be able to leverage your income to create passive income streams. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. So you got to think about how you can create multiple income streams so you can afford the life that you intend to live, whether you want to be a millionaire, billionaire, or just not. You know, that's not a requirement, right? And to give you a good point of perspective, when it comes to income, in order to be in the top 10% of earners in the United States of America, you have to earn $118,000 a year, 118, right? But you don't have to do that from one source of income. And I think that's the misconception that I want to dismantle right here, that people who are living a very wealthy lifestyle are doing so off of one income. That's not even true for most athletes and entertainers, who are the main people we're probably looking at. And you can see that they create multiple income streams. So all of you have a story. All of you have something that makes you powerful. All of you have something that makes you unique. So you can create a course or write a book on your unique experience in life. It's your perspective. And as much as we feel as if each one of us are going through something that no one else can ever comprehend or understand, it does not mean that people don't want to listen and cannot learn from what you know is so specific to you. And that's where you can have some power to create a course online. It won't be obviously at the academic level of a CDU, but what you can do is create a course or write a book. Someone mentioned tutoring when we were doing our cash flow poll. And with that tutoring, if you had tutoring that you were offering and then can offer a course for someone to say, look, I'm going to look at this on my own time in my free time and pay for the course because I can't afford to have you tutor me in person on a consistent basis, then now you've created an income stream that's passive, that leans on your strengths, that you can create from home. And now all you have to do is focus on making sure that you're reaching out to people who value that course and be willing to pay for it, right? There's people out here who sell courses for $1,000. And I've even bought a course for $1,000 before to learn real estate. So people will pay for courses. You just have to identify what the value of that course is to the people who can afford to purchase it. And what is it that they're willing to pay? Right, people are broke and they buy Jordans for $300. So don't be afraid to go out here and find out what your real price is. And you can make multiple courses and make multiple books. And these are just examples. And investments is about making your money work for you. So sometimes you don't have to create the passive income stream. The passive income stream already exists. And what you do is invest in that and then collect the returns. And you really don't have to do anything. I'm the president and CEO of Fox Capital Investment Group. So what I do is I collect investment funds from our angel investors at this point right now in our pre-seed funding. And I'm going to take that money and invest it into opportunities that they don't have the time to research nor manage. And I'll research it and manage it on behalf of my 22 additional founders of the Fox Capital Investment Group to be able to make sure that they're able to get a return. Now, people who sit on the board are engaged in it. For myself, being the president and CEO, I'm actively engaged in it, but there's only 4 officers. And so out of our 23 founders, the other 19 founders are just collecting checks, collecting profit based upon the active work that we're doing. So now their money is working for them. So for example, they're giving me $1,000. I'm able to get them a 20% return and give them $1,200 back. Does that make sense? Any questions on that before I move on to the next space? Okay, great. No questions. Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask, has anyone who is here invested before or have a passive income stream? If yes, write 1 in the chat. If no, write 2 in the chat. And if you want to share your story, you can unmute yourself if you have a passive income stream. All right. All right. All right. I like this. We got some solopreneurs, some business owners. If they're not here, they're on the way. All right. All right. And if you don't have one, I am giving you a deadline. You have until Christmas. Actually, I'll be nice. I'll give you to December 31st to get you an income stream on the side. Because here's my statement. I want to hear from you all about your income streams if you have one. But I don't think you have a budgeting problem. I think you have a cash flow problem because America is expensive, especially Los Angeles. All right. Is anybody who want to share their story about what their side hustle is or their passive income stream is?
I can share. I actually just started, but I've been investing in stock market. So once the stock market kind of began to crash during COVID, I started to look up ways to invest, and I started with $100, and one of my things right now is at $300, almost $400.
Ooh, wow. When did you invest that $100?
It is, I have two right now because I did just sell some. But the two that I have invested in are DPHC, which is the Diamond Peak Holdings.
Okay. Yep.
It's at 21.80 right now. And then the other one is Flying Eagle, which is at $12.
Okay.
And I have around 50 shares on the Flying Eagle and 12 shares on the Diamond Peak Holding.
Okay. And you said you recently bought some of those. So you had some other shares, sold those, and then bought Flying Eagle and DPHC?
Yeah. So I've been kind of doing my research into know when to sell and buy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned about like the idea of merging. So when two companies are merging, when's a good time to buy? So I've been kind of doing that, and it's been good. So right now I'm working on to possibly investing more into Diamond Peak Holding because I've noticed they've been going up a little bit higher.
Nice.
So my goal is to invest a little bit more in them before the end of the year, so my stock can kind of hopefully double up.
Amazing. And you first put that $100 in what month?
I want to say I've had this app, to be honest, like for almost 2 years. And I think that's when I put my first $100. And then I kept selling and buying. And then I bought into Diamond Peak, I think I want to say back in March, April, when the stock market, I think, was like at its lowest kind of thing.
Okay.
So I share for like, I think it was $8 a share.
So when the stock market crashed, essentially it went on sale. You saw an opportunity and you seized it. 2 years ago, you had $100 that you put in, and now 2 years later, you've 3x your money.
Yeah.
Right. So if that $100 was 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, I mean that 300% increase that you got would still happen.
Yeah.
Right. So okay, I like that story because I think what's great about money is that if you think about it in percentages, you know, you put in what you can and you start where you can, and then you build it up over time. And in 2 years, you got 3 times as much money as you first put in. And so I want everyone else to kind of take from that is start where you are, invest what you have, and then also recognize that each income stream doesn't have to pay you as quickly and actively as your active income, but there are some really good percentage increases that you can have.
Yeah, and it's definitely has allowed me with budgeting. I've like decided part of my goal is since I am a grad student and my income isn't what it used to be, that after I pay my bills, whatever money I would have spent on a pair of shoes or something unnecessary, I would begin to invest it back into the stock market, whether it was buying 1 share or 2 share with whatever I had, just because I've learned like the stock market is very unstable, so it can definitely either help me or hurt me, but I feel like investing in it would potentially over time actually put me in a better position. So
yeah, I agree. I definitely think of the different income streams that you can have, investing in the stock market is a good one. I like that one a lot. It is volatile, but there are some good ways to establish some good predictions based upon what you're talking about and understanding when's a good time to buy, when's a good time to sell. And I definitely think that if you're looking at your 7 income streams to be able to make sure that you're able to build $1 million net worth, like an everyday millionaire, I think that is definitely a stream that you have to go to. And I think any money that you invest, you also should invest it without the need of that money as well. So if you put in that $100, don't do it thinking that you need it next month to pay a bill. So I like that you invest after you pay your bills, after you pay your essentials. All right. So, paycheck to paycheck. Out of what percentage of people do you think are living paycheck to paycheck in the United States? Write your answer for what percent in the chat. What percentage of people are living paycheck to paycheck in America? $80, $85, $90, $60, $85, $90. $70, $85. Okay, so it's 80%. You all are pretty right. 80%. And you don't have to put this in the chat, but I'm going to ask this question. Are you in the 80%? Are you in the 80% that are living paycheck to paycheck? Do you have money saved after you get paid? Do you get paid and put your money, like, do you have money left over? Are you the type of person to say, you know what, I really need this next paycheck? And you find yourself saying that on a monthly basis, right? Now, is that good? Is it good? Is that something that makes you feel great about yourself? Is that something that excites you to wake up and live life? What are you spending your money on that you know you don't need to spend it on? And then what are you spending money on that you know you can reduce? So, okay, I'm seeing bills in here. That's real. Bills are high. Bills cost a lot. You can probably reduce some of your bills as well. And there's ways to do that. You know, does anybody feel comfortable enough talking about, you know, what they spend their money on, and what they feel good about what they spend their money on, but also what they feel bad about spending their money on? And if you volunteer to speak, I just need you to say both. I feel good when I spend money on this, but I feel bad when I spend money on this. And there's no judgment here. I've probably committed every mistake. I just know that for now.
I'll share.
Okay, great.
So the good thing I spend money on, I guess, is my self-care.
What does that mean? Self-care?
Go and get my nails done, or like getting a pedicure kind of thing. Just because I feel like when you take care of yourself, you do better in like your health is better, you're mentally, physically kind of better. So like I used to personally neglect my self-care, and I've realized like I gotta take time for myself. So when I do spend money on like things like treating myself to getting my nails done or any of that, like I don't feel bad at all anymore, because I feel like once I take care of myself, I can take care of everybody else, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The bad thing I spend money on is, I want to say, like clothes or unnecessary stuff that I don't end up using. I just buy it because I see that it's on sale, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have to work, but with that, I've realized like I no longer carry my credit cards with me when I'm going to certain places. When I go grocery shopping, I usually withdraw cash and I set myself a limit.
Smart.
Which helps me because sometimes I just end up buying the things I need rather than just like as I'm going down the aisles, anything that looks good, I put in my cart kind of idea. So those have been like my two things that have helped me kind of budget my money. And I think I write everything I need down and kind of weigh what it is that I need and what I don't need and what's necessary. Like when it comes to my cell phone bill, my internet, everything. So those are like some things that I've considered, and I've like reevaluated and rebudgeted to make sure it fits my lifestyle without kind of feeling like I'm wasting money on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that a lot, that you are intentional about writing down what you need, setting a budget, putting that budget in cash, then going shopping with that. I think it's good that you know what purchases make you feel good, what purchases don't make you feel good, and having that awareness. And then now that you have that awareness, I would say those are really good habits. It just comes down to behavior of those habits, the implementation of those habits. And so for everyone on the call, I think it's important that you recognize your behavior with money, because I have this philosophy that it's really not the numbers that are really getting to us all the time. I think the majority of the challenges that we have with money is our behavior. When emotion taps in, we walk past that store that has that shirt that we didn't think about ever in life until this very moment. But because it's 50% off and we tell ourselves that this is a fly, great, beautiful shirt, we have to buy it. And then we buy it. And then it hits our closet and we can wear it and feel bad and feel good. But just recognize that there's feelings involved when it comes to money, and recognizing how to control your behavior. So I too also leave my credit cards at the house. All my credit card purchases are very intentional, because I'm one of those pay my credit card off at the end of the month type of people, like in full. That's my lifestyle. That's my suggestion that I would give to everyone here. But I think it's important that you recognize your own behavior, your own spending habits. And if you don't know yourself, if you don't know how you spend, then it's going to be really hard to challenge that so that you can start feeling good about your purchases. And that includes those clothes, those splurges, because I plan my splurges. I just recently bought a new car, but I've been thinking about this car for 2 years. I've been saving for it intentionally for about 6 months. And when I purchased it, I was able to buy it outright. So it makes me feel so much better that I'm splurging on this convertible because, well, it was an intentional purchase. But if I would have bought it out of nowhere and wasn't thinking about a car the day before, I would be much more tumultuous about my purchase. And I think it's important that we do that because that impacts how we see ourselves. How we spend our money and what we spend our money on is going to impact how you see yourself, which is therefore going to impact your effectiveness in life. And your effectiveness goes back to your ability to be able to generate income if you're not going to be as effective, as motivated, and as successful at your income streams. So you have to think about what your ideal life cost, but then also think about what your current life cost. I'm going to ask this question. You don't have to answer this in the chat because it gets down to it's a little personal, but how much are your expenses to live every month? What is that number? Now, I think there's two ways to think about that. There are what you need to live and then what you actually spend money on every month. So my essential expenses, I think, are only your food, utility, rent, and transportation. So if you have never calculated that, right now, here's all I think that you need in order to live and to be able to thrive, right? To be able to make sure that you can survive each and every day. I'm gonna write it in the chat so you can look at it, but calculate your cost for your food. And when you do this the first time, I want you to do it for food. Okay, I want you to do it for essentials, but do your food. That's groceries and how much money you spend on food outside of the house. If we're talking about investing, DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats are all going up in value. And then rent. How much is your rent? Then how much are your utilities? And how much is your transportation? And calculate that. And transportation includes your car note, your car insurance, gas, average cost of repairs. The reason these four are your essentials is because without food, you would die. Without rent, it would be completely unsafe and you wouldn't be able to mentally be present. right? Utilities. I mean, you can have a place to stay, but if there's no lights, water, or gas, it's going to make it difficult. So those are absolutely necessary in modern society. And then transportation. This is Los Angeles. You got to get away. You got to be able to get somewhere, even though it's quarantine. If you want to do, a lot of grocery shopping, you're probably going to need a trunk or a back seat, or an Uber, or at least a bus or a train. Shoot, I even have a bike, right? But what are your realistic transportation costs? And calculate that every single month when you're doing a budget. Write it down by hand, then put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and then transfer it to your favorite budgeting app. And then what does everything else cost? So you have your food, utilities, rent, and transportation, which is what you need to live, to be alive. But you have subscriptions that are not essential to your life. Those subscriptions are called Netflix, shopping again, right? You have Apple Music. You like it a lot, but you wouldn't die if you didn't listen to music. You just might not be as emotionally excited for life, right? So how much are your essentials, food, utility, rent, and transportation? And then how much are your actual expenses, everything that you spend money on in a month? So my essentials cost almost half of my expenses. Most of us are spending much more money in a month than we need to be alive. And utilities can also include your cell phone and your Wi-Fi. I think that's essential in 2020. So what I'm really asking you to do is take out a piece of paper, and this is something that you really need to sit with yourself and calculate that food, utilities, rent, transportation, and that's your essential cost, your essential expenses. And then do a budget right next to it on your actual expenses. What is everything else you're spending money on? Right? And I've talked to a lot of people about their financial wellness, and what threw them off in quarantine was Amazon. Literally, you got everything delivered. Everything. I was trying to help somebody who remodeled their whole house because they just got tired of looking at the same kitchen. Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, Amazon got me for about a month. But I'm incredibly frugal now. I don't even have Amazon Prime anymore. I'm just like, boom, now I only order stuff if I really need it because I say, do I want to pay the shipment? A lot of people struggle with their money because their rent costs too much. I know, we live in Los Angeles. Rent's expensive. It's very expensive. But if you're a student, no one cares if you have a roommate. No one cares if you have an apartment. I think there's so many different ways you can cut your cost. It's quarantine. You have your car. Maybe you could change your insurance. So call your insurance people and tell them that you're only using your car for pleasure because you work from home or you study from home, and you're only using it on the weekends. So therefore, you're not a daily driver, which will reduce your insurance cost because now you're not expected to drive as much. Therefore, it reduces your risk. Therefore, reduces the risk that the insurance cost is taking by having you be their car insurance customer. So if you want to reduce your transportation costs and reduce your car insurance, tell them you're only driving your car on the weekends because you're quarantined at home during the week. Another way to do that is also to pay off your car. But we're going to talk about debt next week. But your car insurance will probably be cut in half if you owned your car and you only had liability versus if you had it financed and you had to get the maximum amount of protection because that's a clause in your finance. So little decisions like that can keep you living paycheck to paycheck if you're paying the most expensive insurance for the most expensive car note, which is your average car note is $550 a month for a new car, $394 a month for a used car. So rent and your car note are probably your two biggest expenses. If you can reduce those, your life will be a lot better. You won't be living paycheck to paycheck as much. In addition to that, eventually, if you can, your biggest purchases in life tend to usually be your home and your car. So if you can actually get rid of your rent and your car costs, your mortgage and your car costs on a monthly basis, you may realize that you actually make good money. So what is net income? What do you think net income is? Write your answers in the chat. Let me see if we can get at least 2 or 3 people to just tell me, what do you think net income is? We have 13 minutes left. So I have about 2 to 3 slides left. And I'm gonna try and leave the last 5 to 7 minutes for questions. So we're gonna try and wrap it up in about 5 to 7. So money after taxes are taken out. That's net income after paying taxes and benefits. Right. The simple way, which is what my father told me when I first started working, is that net income is how much money you actually get to keep. Because yes, Ms. Smith and Mr. Hassan have said it, taxes got to come out. Benefits are going to have to come out. Those are important. So how much money do you actually get to make? So it's your actual liquid assets, the money you have left over. And this is the money that you actually need to budget. Now I'm going to hit home for some of you. I think your rent should be 25% of your take-home pay, of your net income. So if you make $3,000 a month, gross means the overall pay. And now Uncle Sam takes out 20%. California takes out another 10%. So you're really only getting 70% of that $3,000. You're actually taking home $2,100 a month. Now with that $2,100 a month, 25% would be $525 a month. And this is why I say we have to probably shack up, live with some people, make it work. Some of you are living at home and hopefully you're paying an affordable price for your rent. Free if you can really make that work. If not, rent's going to be one of your biggest expenses. But if your rent and your really what I want you to do is get to a point to where your total essential expenses for you to live is no more than 50% of your take-home pay. In an ideal world. I know that's hard to get to. I know that seems impossible. I know most of us are living paycheck to paycheck. I know 80% of the United States of America is living paycheck to paycheck, and that's regardless of income status. Paycheck to paycheck still happens for people making $500,000 a year. I've unfortunately had to have those conversations. Very hard to process. You want to get these habits now because these are behaviors. And if you can start telling yourself in your mind, okay, everything it costs for me to live, all my expenses should be no more than half of what I make in a month. How can I get my life to be that? And then use the other half of that money. Now you can invest. Now you can get that money to work for you. Now you can go, it's quarantine, but in a non-quarantine world, travel. Although some people are still doing it now, and I don't suggest it, nor do I support it. But you can really take that money and invest in yourself because you are the best thing that you can really invest in. But you have to have that money available. And the problem is that most people don't have that money available. So here's gonna go my my last slide. And here are some conventional ways to increase income. that most people don't think about, because we think about these things for different reasons. We don't think about them in relation to money. So just let me know your honest responses to these, right? First thing you can do to increase your income is get married. If you're married, put a 1 in the chat. If you want to be married, put a 1 in the chat. If you've never thought about being married in order to actually increase your income, put a 2 in the chat. So the reason I say this is because statistically, the people who have the most financial success, stability, have the most academically high achieving students or people who are married. People who get approved for homes when they're buying homes at the highest rate, the fastest rate, or people who are married. Why? A mortgage lender says you want to buy a home, but if one person loses their job, at least there's one other person who hasn't, and they can support you throughout that. You're making $50,000. You have a dream of making 6 figures. You marry someone who makes $50,000. Congratulations, you are now making 6 figures as a unit. That rent that was $1,300 a month is now $650 because you can cut it in half. Right? You can split responsibilities and requirements of your money, which would ease your life financially in some ways. You're filing your taxes, and they give you better deductibles. When people think about marriage, oftentimes when I'm talking to some of the young men that I mentor, they're worried about the cost of the wedding. And my response is, weddings are optional, although I am a big advocate for marriage, because they're 2 completely different things. You could have a honeymoon in the States. I know. Instagram won't respect the fact that you didn't go to Thailand for your honeymoon. I know. You should have went to Maldives. There's nothing wrong with driving to Lake Arrowhead. Crazy enough, off of Instagram, this is what average people do. On Instagram, I recognize we all must
That's pretty big, huh?
and look rich. And I'm not advocating for that. This is something that I won't do, but this is something that I know people who have done it. I just talked about my father in the beginning of this, selling $1 million home in California and moving to Chicago and buying a $250,000 home. So a home for the 1/4 of the price that allowed him to be able to double the house that he has. There are so many states in between California and New York where the average American income, which is $47,000 for an individual, $59,000 for a household of 4 people, where that money goes very far. When you finish your professional career, your studies, and you're ready to enter your professional career, and you get an interview to work at a great hospital in California, and you get an interview to earn the same exact money in a hospital outside of California, just know your money can go further outside of California than it can within California. I personally think the beach, the mountains, and the California tax is worth it. But make your own decisions. These are some conventional ways that people have consistently made efforts to increase their income that they've had available to them. But these are the ways that I think are never really talked about, because we talk about marriage for love. We don't talk about how much of an impact it has on your financial wellness. We talk about moving for opportunities, but we don't talk about moving just to reduce our cost of living and be able to thrive in life. So those are my tips, instructions, advice. I am not a official financial professional, although I do give a lot of financial coaching and advice. You can take this with a grain of salt, implement what fits for you. I just want to make sure that you understand the options that exist out there. And I'm hoping that I'm able to give you these options and insight at a time in your life where you're able to take advantage of at least one of these different ways that you can increase your income to be able to make sure that you're putting yourself in the best position to be the best version of yourself. We have 4 minutes left. Any questions?
Hey, Miles, how are you?
Hey, hello, how are you?
This is Josephine. This is just a random comment. The other day I wore your Sophista Ratchet shirt. So when I saw the the flyer, I was like, oh, this is is it Sophista Ratchet, Sophisticated Ratchet? I just thought it was funny. And then I like literally saw the flyer for this event and I was like, oh, how great. So hello again.
Well, I'm glad you you stopped by, and thank you for wearing my shirt. That's awesome. I actually stopped that business stream, so you have a classic right there. You know, that is that's a unique piece of clothing. You know.
Yeah, definitely love it. Thank you for sharing all these tips. They're definitely helpful.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I literally do this every week.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good.
Yeah. I mean, different financial topics, right? But you know, these are the basics that are throughout every conversation. So I'm really happy to do this.
Thank you. And are you doing it in a 3-part like you did last time, or?
I am. Yes, it'll be a 3-part. So we'll be back here next Wednesday, same time, and the Wednesday afterwards, same time.
Okay, perfect.
So next week we're talking about debt and getting rid of debt.
Gotcha. Because
after the first way to increase your wealth, your biggest wealth generation tool is to increase your wealth. Second is going to be to get rid of your debt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
And then after that, the world is yours. We have 3 minutes left. Anyone else have any comments, questions, concerns? Are there any topics that you all want to talk about? I may be able to integrate those over the next 2 weeks. I mean, I have my slides already ready, but I have no problem adjusting. I'm going to make sure that what you want to know financially, I'm able to speak to. Feel free to speak up or write it in the chat.
I don't know if you talk about this or no, I'm sure you do, but real estate and like home assets and things like that, like what are the benefits? What are ways, you can go about doing that? Just that kind of domain asset.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big advocate for real estate. I think when it comes to real estate, I can definitely bring that up and talk about that a little bit more. There's some ways that I can dive into that deeper.
Got it. Thank you.
Hi, Miles. This is Shakila, Ms. Smith. Thanks. I really enjoyed everything. Maybe, I don't know what session 3 is going to be about, but can you kind of touch on how you started your investment group?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So let me just write these down. Oh, see one in the chat.
Yeah, that's mine.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Yeah, just any creative ways to, you kind of touched on it today, but to create like put money aside for a special, for example, I love to travel, so I would create like a travel fund maybe, or a nest egg for a special purchase, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I can definitely do that. Yeah, people love to travel. The travel bug got everybody in the last like few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Anybody else have any other questions? Well, it is 1 o'clock. Thank you so much for being here, Miles. I know that I'm going to call my car insurance company after this to tell them I haven't moved in months. So they should probably reduce the cost. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for being here. We'll see you next Wednesday at the same time. But again, guys, if you have any other questions or if you have any ideas in the meantime, feel free to email me, put my email in the chat, or you can email student services and I can touch base with Miles and we can talk about it in the next session. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone. Call your
Bye.
insurance companies. My
Okay.
special from $200 to $60 a month. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.